no matter what I do, I need to start the Apache and then the MySQL. Whenever I am coding, the first thing I will have to do is start my Apache, start my MySQL. So I will start my Apache. It would be green. I'll start my MySQL. It would be green. And I have both of them started. So this is the first thing I require in order for me to start doing any work. If I don't have these two things on, I can't do any work. So now that these two things are on, in here, we're going to start our lessons on the PHP by learning what PHP is. PHP is a server-side language, which means that the compilation process of PHP occurs on the server. So logically, how PHP works is that when I make a request, the request will go to a particular server, then it will run on the server, it would render. That is, everything would be arranged correctly on the server. And once it is done, then it will be brought to me on my screen at the client side. That means that if I don't have a server, I can't run PHP code. So you can see that the XAMPP control panel here, the Apache is acting as my server. So my server is the Apache. That's my server, the Apache. So that presents me with the information that I require. The Apache is my server. So I have my server. I have all the information I require in my server. And then that is how I am going to run my applications. The question then comes in. The Apache has been put on over here. So where is the physical location of the server on my computer? Where is the server located on my computer? The server is located in the drive C. So when you open a new tab, you go to this PC, you go to Windows Drive C. In Drive C, you see XAMPP there, and then you see htdocs there. So in this htdocs folder is where you have the physical um, uh, 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 manifestation or the physical location of the server. Is that clear?
That's it.
Is that clear? So, with that in mind, it means that if I want to write any project, if I want to do any work, if I want to create anything, what I will do is that I will create such a thing in the htdocs folder that is inside the drive C. So over here in the htdocs folder, I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to new and I'm going to go to folder and I'm going to create a new folder for my work. This new folder I'm going to call work one. And then I'm going to open up work one. And then I'm going to right click in work one, click on Open in Terminal. And then in here, I will type code space and dot and press enter. Now, once I do this, it would open in the VS Code for us. We know how to use the VS Code from last semester's lesson, so this shouldn't be an issue for us. So I'm in VS Code now. I can see work one over here. The work one is in my server. So if I click on this button here and type in index.php, I have just created a PHP work. That's all. As easy as that. So you can see that if I go into my folder in the htdocs, I can see that I have an index file over here. How will I open the index file? How will I open the index file? How will I set up the index file? In my browser. So in my browser, I would open up my browser, any browser in which I find convenient. I would open it up. And once I open up the browser in which I find convenient, I'll type the words localhost, and then I will type the word, so I'll type the word localhost. Now, when I'm presented with this screen here, it tells me that my Apache is working because this is my server. You do not require internet. I don't even know why sometimes when you are teaching this and the moment you mention browser, a student tells you, says, so should I get internet, or they assume or think some internet source is required for you to do what you need to do. You don't require internet. And the reason you don't require internet is because you are created a local server on your computer. You are not accessing a server from another environment. So you don't require any internet. Local host means that you have locally hosted the work. Now, if I want to open the work one folder I created, and note that the work one folder I created, I did not leave space. Stop leaving spaces in the things you do, especially when it is web work and naming of files. Stop. And also stop doing all your work in one folder. Stop. Work one is one word. So if I type localhost, which is the server, slash work one, I am telling you that my server is called localhost, and inside my server called localhost, I have a folder there called work one. So you can see it opens a blank space for me. So that if anything in which I come and type over here and save, when I go all the way onto my browser and I refresh, I would see the thing displaying there. So again, for me to do any work in PHP, I require a server. In our case, our server is going to be Apache. Our database system is going to be MySQL. Okay, so if I don't start the Apache and I don't start the MySQL, I can't run any code on my browser. Full stop. Now, the reason why you require a server, as I said, is that PHP is a server-side language, which means that when I run anything in PHP, it must run on the server. It must compile in the server. And when it is done compiling in the server, then it will come and display on the client screen. So without the server, it will not work. Where can I locate the server on my computer. I can locate the server when I go to my drive C. And inside my drive C, I'll go and look for XAMPP. And then inside the XAMPP, I'll go and look for HT documents. And in here is the physical location of my server. It is here that if I give you work, or I tell you to create a file, or I tell you to create a folder, or do something, you will come and do it at. Why do you do it here and not on the desktop or not in the videos? Because here is the physical location of the server. And PHP is a server-side application, which means that everything must be run in the server. How will I open an application in the browser? I will have to open the application by typing localhost / the name of the file I have created. In my case, the file is work1. So it is localhost / work1. Finish. Now, let us evaluate. Before I evaluate anything else, are there any questions on this? Are there any questions on this?
Sir. Sir.
Yes, ask the question.
Please, I want to know if you want to open the folder you created in the AT-DOS with VS Code. Can you also go to the VS Code and choose open and relocate the folder?
Of course, you can do that. It's okay. Obvious. You can do that. If you want to do that, you can do that. Okay. Any other question? Great. So in here, we have the word variable, a very a word that is very repetitive whenever it comes to programming. Because in programming, data must be stored in particular locations, and these locations are variables. So you would always have a variable in every single programming language that you have. PHP is never the difference. But in PHP, it is a loose language, which means it doesn't require data type to declare a variable. All you need to create a variable in PHP is to bring the $sign and then the name of the variable. So if I call it $name, it means that here I've created a variable for name. $age means I've created a variable for age. $number means I've created a variable for a number. All I need to do in order for me to create a variable is for me to put a $sign in front of it. Once there is a $sign in front of something, that thing becomes a variable. Any confusion, please? So how then will the computer know what data type the variable is supposed to have? For example, here, the name of the person could be John. Over here, the age could be 25. Over here, the number could be 2785.12. How does the computer know that this variable here is a string, this here is an integer, and this here is a double? The joy of using PHP is that whenever you assign, so at a point in time in which this is being given to this, PHP will determine what data type it is and assign it. So it is not your job to assign or create any data type. PHP takes it upon itself to create the data type that would be assigned to the variable. Now, if I want to write PHP code in my browser, so over here, I have my browser. Let me make the writings in here a bit bigger. I think this is okay. Now, in here, I'll create my basic structure of a HTML page. So if I type HTML semicolon 5, it would present me with this structure. Of course, you can type the structure out, but because of time, I've just used the shorthand in the VS Code to create this. So I have, now I'm creating a simple application to add two numbers. So the title of it is going to be add two numbers. Great. So I've done that. Now, in here, I want to write PHP code. Is there a particular area in which is dedicated for PHP code? There is not. Anywhere I want to write the PHP code, if it is at the top, at the bottom, in between the codes, I am allowed to write the PHP code there. It is very important that I note that the PHP code in which I am writing would be read from the top to the bottom. So whatever order I put it in the code, what the computer is always going to read it from top to bottom. So I have to keep that in mind. So I'll start writing my code from here. I'll just create some space, and then I'll tell the computer that the code I'm about to write is PHP code. How will I tell the computer that? By bringing the PHP tag. So I have the open tag and the close tag. So this is the open PHP tag, and this is the close PHP tag. Now, in here, I have to type in my code over here. So I'm going to say $name is equal to John Sam. $age is equal to 25. Salary is equal to 3,500. Address is equal to Tema Community 10. Now, looking at this code, looking at what I have done here, I have just created 4 variables. Again, in PHP, if I have to create a variable, all I need to do is bring a $sign. So $name means that is a variable. And in $name, I've put inside what? Sam, John Sam. Now, if I want to display, if I want to show, if I want to give out the information I have in the variable, then I require the tool called echo. So here, I'm going to create my PHP tags again. And here I'm going to say echo out name. Now, as you can see, my PHP will start from here, but it will skip all of these things. These are HTML. It doesn't care. When it gets here, to continue running the PHP code. PHP code is embedded, which means I can put it anywhere in my code. As far as I bring the PHP tag for the computer to know that this is PHP code, I am safe. That means that when I go to my browser again and I refresh my browser, remember, I have to type localhost/web1. Remember, I have to make sure that my Apache is on and my MySQL is on. And if I refresh my screen, I should see that on my screen, I have what there? I have Sam, John, Sam. If I go on, I'll go on here and then say echo the person's age, echo the person's salary, echo the person's address. And then when I go and refresh my browser, I should see John Sam. This is the age, this is the thing, and that is that. As you can see, I didn't leave any space. I just echoed them out, so they'll all just display on the screen. But the joy of PHP, being that it is embedded, gives you some kinds of advantages. What advantages does it present you? Over here, I can say, for example, I can go and do this. I can say I have a H1 tag here, and I'll say welcome. And then in here, I'll put a PHP tag here and say echo name. I'll draw a line over here by using the HR tag. And then over here, I would say since using the P tag, since your age is again, I'll echo out the age. So here I'll say the person's age is a PHP tag. And then in here, I'll put in age. And then over here, I'll say years young. Full stop. I'll bring a BR here to create a break in the code. And then here I'll continue. You qualify for a salary of, and then I'll put the salary over here by echoing out the salary. So I have been presented with this code here. Remember, all variables start with the dollar sign. And then so here it should be a full stop over here. Then here I would say break. Sorry. I'll do a break. And then over here I'll say, since here there's a full stop here, it means here should start with a capital Y. And then here I'll say also, comma, incentives will be sent to your home at, then here I'll come and put in the person's address. And I will save this. So when I come to the browser now, I'll see something like this. Welcome, John Sam. Your age is 25 years old. You qualify for a salary of this, and also incentives will be sent to your home at Tema Community 10. You can place the PHP in different positions you want. And not only that, I could do everything in which I just did here. So all the coding which I just wrote over here, I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to say PHP tag echo. So remember, echo means display. That's why over here, if I just say age and then I come to my browser, if I echo it out right now, I'll get an error. So let me just put this in here now. And then over here, I'll do a slash star and then a star slash to hide it. Then I'll come to my browser here. You see that the age is the age is gone because echo is not in front. So echo is saying display the content or display the thing. So without the echo in front over here, I cannot display. So echo. Now here, I'm telling the computer that display everything in which you see over here. The problem is that you can't have a PHP tag inside another PHP tag. So I'm going to remove the echo over here because there is already an echo here. So I've displayed everything here. So I don't require this PHP tag here anymore. Perfect. So now I have written the entire HTML code inside the PHP tag. So I'm going to now display it, and you'd realize that I would be displaying the same thing. There is no error. I can put the PHP in the HTML, and I can put the HTML in the PHP. Sometimes I'll even put the PHP in the JavaScript. It is an embedded language. So I can embed it, I can put it, I can join it, I can place it anywhere I want. Now, with what I have just done, it means that if I want to change the name of the person, so here is no more John Sam, but it is AC Sam. When I save this and I come to the browser and then I refresh, I would see hello AC Sam. But that means that every single time there is a change of user, I will have to go into the code and change. It is not efficient. It's not the best thing to do. So I want to change. I want to change it. In changing it, I would have to design a form for this. So I'm going to design a form for this. So over here, I'm going to tell the computer I want to design a form. And based on last semester's classes, we noted that if we want to design a form, then we need the form tag. And I want to do some inputs. So over here, I have input. The type of input is going to be text. The name of the input, which is very important, is going to be full name. So that over here, I'll place in a placeholder and say the placeholder is enter full name. I need another input. The type of input is going to be number. The name of the input is going to be age. And the placeholder of the input is going to be enter age. I'm going to enter another input. The type of input is going to be number, but I'm going to put the steps to be any so that I can be able to enter decimal numbers. And here I'll say the name is going to be salary, and then the placeholder is going to be enter salary. I'm also going to say input is, now I'm going to use a text area for this case, let me just use an input. This is just a one letter word I'm typing. It's not that big a deal. So it's going to be type. It's going to be text. The name is going to be address. And here I'm going to have a placeholder, and it's going to be enter address /that. And then finally, I'm going to have an input. The type is going to be submit. And then over here, the name is going to be submit. And then over here, the value is going to be generate. Buttons don't need a placeholder. Now, if I am to go to my screen and display, everything would be on one line. So when I come to my screen here, and then I display it, I can see everything here being on one line. They are stepping into each other because I've increased the page so that you can see, but you can see everything is on one line. I don't want this. So I'll go back. And then after each one, I'll put in a break and a break. So that now when I come here and I refresh my screen, it would be like this. The, 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 the knowledge we had in the other class in terms of the HTML, the CSS, you must start to use it. Stop making programming hard. It is hard. Okay, now we have gotten that out of the way. It is a hard course, really. But a lack of practice, a lack of doing, you see how easy it is for me to do. I don't have to check. I know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I know why it's supposed to be there. So no matter what I want to do, I just have to implement it, knowing why am I picking this and not that. Now, in here, I have designed a place where you can type your full name, your age, your salary, and your address. And your address. And when you click on the button here, it will give you a particular answer. Now, what do I want to do? I want the full name you type here to appear here. I want the age you type here to appear here. I want the salary to appear here. And then I want the address to appear over here. So this is the portion of our lecture. Here is what our lecture is about. If I have a form and I want to transfer information, I have two choices. I can either send the information as a get, or I can send the information as a post. If I use a get, if I use a get, I am telling the computer that the information, when you take it, so again, just demonstration, when I come and type in a name over here, let's say it is 10. Let's say it is Ben 10. Over here, he is 10. His salary is 2,000, and he lives in 10 land. And I click on generate. The information goes away. So this is the question you're asking the computer. When the information goes away, when you take the information, How should you save the information you have taken? Should you save it as a get? Now, over here, what we just did here, we have saved the information as a get. When I copy the URL, you see that when we started, we said the URL should be localhost slash work1. So you can see localhost over here. You can see work1 over here. But after this, you see a question mark. This question mark tells you that everything in which you are doing is a get. So you can see here that the full name is Ben space 10 space. And the age is 10. And the salary is 2,000. And the address is 1010 land. And the submit, I said it should be called generate. If you are very observant, you realize that I told you when I got here, I said the name, which is very important. It is the name that is showing over there. So you can see that I'm telling the computer everything here, when you are saving it, save it in a place called full name. Save everything here in a place. That is what the user is typing in a place called age. Save it in a place called salary. Save this in a place called address. And save this in a place called submit. But when you save it as submit, they should have a value to it and call that value generate. So you realize that over here, I see full name, age, address, submit. So it is being saved as a get by default. But the problem of a get is I can see everything here. I can see it. I know that the name is Ben 10. I know the age is 10. I know the salary is 200, 2,000. I know that he's in 1010. I can see it. And why can I see it? Because it is in the browser. I just went into the code and copied the browser, and I can see all the information in the browser. So if it was a user's credit card, I have just exposed his credit card info. If it was a user's password, I've just exposed the user's password info. So when the information you want to save is sensitive, you don't save it as a get. You save it as a post. So in my code, if I want to save it as a post, remember, if you type form just like this and leave it like that, it means the method you want to send it is get, is the default. So if I want to change it, I'll just tell the computer that the method in which I want to use to send the information should be a post. I could also type get here. But note, if I don't bring the method over there, by default, it is a get. Now, if I send the information as a post and I save it and I come over here and I refresh the screen so that it takes what is there, I call it Ben and everything and I save, the URL doesn't have anything there. It only has localhost work. So the information is saved somewhere and it is encrypted, even though the encryption is not that great. It is still encrypted. It still takes someone with a bit of knowledge to get at the data. So it is a bit protected. So How do I get the information? Because post or get, the information is saved somewhere in the computer. How will I get it to use so that I'll come and replace the welcome SESAM with the name I've typed over there? How will I get that piece of information? For our purposes for today, I want to send the information as a get. And so at the top here, I will tell the computer that instead of name should be equal to SESAM, it should be equal to $_get in capital letters with a square bracket. And in here, I'll put in full name. So I'm technically telling the computer, go to the get variable, and then where you have full name saved, pick the information from there. And where will full name be saved? The name property here is full name. So it means I'm getting the information the person typed over here. I'll use the same thing, but when I get here, instead of me saving the thing from full name, I'll get it from age. And over here, I'll get it from salary. And over here, I'll get it from address. Of course, there is no code over here, and there's only one terminate. So in this code here, as it is now, it should work. Let's see if it works. When I come here and I refresh, I just refresh my page. I get some warnings and errors here in which we will solve. Don't worry about that. I knew I'll get them. But here, I just wanted to put the Ben 10 stuff over here. Click on this, and you can see that it says, welcome, Ben. Your age is 10, your salary is this, and you live at 1010 land. It works. When I click, it would take the information, it will come and put the information here, it will give it to this, this would go and give it to the information you have over here, then it will display. It works, it's perfect. The problem is that when a user comes to the code, so when a user arrives at my page, he gets a lot of warning. Why is he getting warnings? Remember, the code, the best coder in the world is not the one who just writes the code. You need to know why an error is there. So why do I have a warning? Array key full name is undefined. When a computer tells you something is undefined, it means it doesn't exist. But wait, when we come over here, full name exists. But wait, does it? You see, full name only exists when I click on the generate button. When I have typed something here, it doesn't exist. When I type something here, it doesn't exist. When I type something here, it doesn't exist. When I do something to this, it doesn't exist. When I click on the generate, the errors go away. Here is filled. That means that until I click the submit button, there is no value here. You are telling the computer to go and pick something from here, but it hasn't even been created. It doesn't exist. So it is telling you it is undefined. It is not there. So I need to solve this. I have to tell the computer a few things. Number one, if into brackets is set into brackets $_get into square brackets into single quotes. Submit. That is, if the person clicks on the submit button, if the submit button has a value, the submit button will only have a value if I click on the submit button. So if I click on the submit button, then I want you to do all the things in which we have over here. But if I do this, I get another error. Now, there's no error at the top because I've stopped it. I said that you don't exist until I click on the submit button. But at the bottom here, I can see welcome warning, warning, warning over here because it's now telling me undefined variable name. And it's true. Name doesn't exist because I haven't yet clicked on the submit button for it to be created. So to solve this, instead of me allowing this entire statement here to be displayed in the HTML, I would stop it. And I'll come here and say display is equal to everything there. Of course, I have some errors here because I can't display an echo in here, so I'll remove it. And I showed you people this when we did it earlier, that we can put in the HTML in the PHP. Oh, I don't need the terminate signs yet. Yes. Wonderful. Now, I will tell the computer that when you get over here, echo out the display. But I'll still get an error because, again, this display would be filled, this display would be created, and all of this thing will be filled and given to this. So at what point would this be done? When the submit button is clicked. So at the top here, I'll just say display $sign display is equal to double quotes, is equal to nothing. So when I come onto my page and I'm here, display is nothing. But when I come and fill this one with Ben 10 and all of his shenanigans and what everything in which he's been doing, and I click on this, then it is created, then it is shown. You see, a lot of the things we'll be doing this semester is us filling a form and then putting it into text. We will have to do that to send it to the database. We'll have to do that to display it to someone. When you go and take a receipt from a bank, when you go to Malcolm, you buy things. When you go to places and you do things, the receipt that is generated for you, you just see this item, you bought 10 of it and it is here. This is how it is created. This is how it is formed. This is how it is filled. So our mastery of how to create a form, take information, display the information of a form, take a form, display the information of a form, is a very important tool. If we can't do that, everything else which comes will be difficult for us. Of course, once you are able to do this, you can start adding your CSS to it. You can start adding your CSS to it. You can add some few CSS code to make it look good. To make it look good. So for example, over here, and I will not bore you with the CSS code writing. I'm just showing you. So over here, I'll just say style, and I'll bring the style tag. Remember, if I want to type CSS code, I need the style tag. And in here, I'll put in some CSS code for the body, for the header, for the titles, and everything that comes with it. Over here, just to make the CSS pop a bit, I would scroll to the top here. In here, I would put in a div tag. So div class is equal to single quotes close, and then the close tag for the div would be somewhere here. And then in here, I'll put in result. So I've created a class called result. And when I come back to my browser, this is my code without the CSS. But once I put in the CSS in, this here becomes my code. It looks like this, where I can see welcome this, welcome that. Over here, I can put it in, and when it comes, it says welcome at 10, your age is that, your age is that. It looks more professional. It looks nicer. In this course, we'll be doing everything we did last semester. I am assuming you know everything we did last semester. Now, in this course, we will start to communicate with the database. And as I said, to communicate with the database, you must take information, be able to fit it into a sentence, like how this is fit into a sentence. Once we can do that, then we can start communicating with the database, because you need a sentence to communicate with the database. I need you to practice what we have done right now. This is not a suggestion. I really need you that by the time you come here next week, everything in which you can see done in this class session here, you can do it with your eyes closed. You can repeat it. When we come here next week, we'll take the if statement properly and digest the if statement. How can I make decisions? How can I think through the PHP? And then we'll try the post and see how we can use the post to make decisions. But I need you to be able to do these things. Find time this week, wherever you do, find time. If you have any problem, you can send me a WhatsApp or a message, and we can look at how I can help you debug or solve your code. Are there any questions, please? If there are no questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please forgive me. I was actually late for the class, so I don't know if this class will be the video will be available on YouTube.
I'll send you the video for the class.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm sorry, today I was having a bit of network issues.
Okay.
But following, I think in the code, I see that there's, I don't know if you can go back to that screen. There is a, somewhere in there, I saw, please go up a bit and let's see. No, down. Yes, so line 86.
Mm-hmm.
I see that there is a question mark before the PHP. I mean that display. So I don't know. I'm sorry if you have already talked about it, but if you have, then maybe I'll just listen to the video and then get the understanding.
We've already talked about, but in going over it again, if PHP is an embedded language, which is most predominantly written in HTML. So if I have to write my PHP code, I must let the browser know that this code is not HTML or CSS or JavaScript. It is actually PHP. So I need the PHP tag. And yes, there is a PHP tag. The PHP tag is this sign, question mark, PHP, then this
Oh,
sign, that to close. So this is the open tag, and then this
okay.
here is the
The
close
close
tag.
tag. Unlike in VS Code that we're using the other sign.
What other sign?
You know, when we're doing basic web,
Are you talking about
yes,
this?
exactly.
This is for JavaScript. So if you do
Oh,
this
okay.
one, then you are writing JavaScript. But we are not
Oh,
writing
okay.
JavaScript. If I wanted to
Okay.
write CSS, then it means I will do this. That means I'm writing CSS. So
Exactly.
if I want to write PHP, I will do this.
Oh, okay. All right. I think I'm fine now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions, please? Do you have a class before my class?
Yes, please. We had a class from 11 to 2.
11 to 2. But I started mine at 4, so you guys should have been able to come on time. Oh, hey, okay, let me keep quiet there. Anyway, thank you for coming. We'll meet again next week, okay? And then I
All
will
right.
send
Thank
you
you.
the recording of the class, so the rest of the time you can go over it and then type the code and see if you can get the same results as I got. And then I would put the code for today in your class group, so that if you have to go over, you can go over the code. Is that okay?
All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
So,
Yes.
today